Welcome to the City of Sanford's podcast, Sanford Says. My name is Lisa Holder, Communications Officer, and we're here with another segment of our podcast. Today we have with us Fire Chief Craig Radzak from the Sanford Fire Department. Welcome, Chief.
Hello, Lisa. Glad to be here.
Well, we are so interested in learning about some of the things the fire department is responsible for and some of your programs and the history of the Sanford Fire Department. It's been around for a long time. Isn't that correct?
It sure has, and we're very proud of that fact. It's actually one of the oldest fire departments in the state of Florida. We were established in 1873. So we've been around for a while. We've seen a lot of fires. We've seen a lot of emergencies, and it's grown significantly throughout the years. We started at the downtown Palmetto and First Street fire station, and it's grown south since then. So we relocated later on in time. So yes, we've seen a lot of changes throughout the department's history.
Yeah, and you've been with the city for a long time, the fire department yourself, and seen all those changes.
Yeah, in fact, next week I complete my 27th year of service with the city of Sanford, and 6 of those years I've been fire chief.
That's wonderful. And I know a lot of your battalion chiefs and your other firefighters have been with the department for a long time.
Yes, we do. We do have some people that have been around for a while, but we've had a lot of retirements in the last few years. So we're dealing with a lot of new positions, a lot of people in new positions, but it's an exciting time because we got a lot of refreshing ideas and a lot of motivated folks. And I'm very proud to say that our Sanford firefighters, lieutenants, and battalion chiefs work hard for the citizens, and they're always proud to serve the city of Sanford, and they're proud to be Sanford firefighters.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And we are so proud to have the Sanford Fire Department here today. So would you share just a little bit about the background of the department and, like you said, some of the history? I understand City Hall or the fire department was located near here in downtown.
Yeah, I always like to tell this story because it's always entertaining. And, like I said, we're one of the oldest fire departments in the state of Florida. So way back, and I think it was the 1920s, there used to be a carnival or a circus that used to come to town, and it was a regular basis. Well, this particular circus went out of business, and they had a bunch of animals that they didn't know what to do with. And one of the fire chiefs at the time in the late 20s, early 30s, took on this monkey from the circus that was in town. And it was very entertaining to the residents and the firefighters at the time. They would have this monkey in the fire station. And things evolved over the next few years where people would bring a bulldog, was the story that we got, and the monkey would ride on top of the bulldog's back, and it was very entertaining for the residents and the firefighters. Well, this obviously got out of control because then someone else brought a monkey, a female monkey, and then it turned into a possum and then a raccoon, and before you know it, you had all these animals at the fire station. So the city leaders at the time said, we have to do something about this, and so they created the Sanford Municipal Zoo. And so all these animals were then taken from the fire station into the zoo, and the zoo was relocated from the fire station to where Sanford City Hall is currently. And some say now that City Hall is still actually a zoo. That's a joke. I probably get in trouble for that. But that was the Sanford Fire Department, you could say, was responsible for the zoo. And since then, it's been relocated, obviously, to where the current zoo is now on Seminole Boulevard. So kind of an interesting story that I like to tell everyone, that the Sanford Fire Department was actually responsible for the zoo.
That is a really, really neat story. So can you also share with us, Chief, I understand that the City of Sanford Fire Department has a first response agreement across some other agencies.
Yeah, we partner with Seminole County Fire Department and all the municipal fire departments that are in Seminole County, and we call it the first response agreement. This partnership is like I said, with Seminole County Fire Department, the City of Longwood Fire Department, the City of Oviedo Fire Department, the City of Lake Mary Fire Department, and our Sanford Airport Fire Department. So we all came to agreement that this actually benefits the citizens regardless of what jurisdiction you're in, that the closest appropriate unit would respond to an emergency. For example, if I lived in the city of Lake Mary and a Sanford fire truck and a Sanford fire ambulance were closer to a particular call, then they would be dispatched and respond to that call. So the closest person, and you get there in a timely manner. And this is reciprocated throughout the county, so it doesn't matter where you are, you would get the closest unit. And a lot of people ask me, say, well, I live in the city of Lake Mary. Why is a Sanford fire truck coming to my call? Well, that's the reason for that. And it benefits all of us. It just gets the closest, most appropriate unit to your call. And it's really a model type of response plan that we've put together over the years, and it's worked well.
Is it true that most of the calls for the Sanford Fire Department are more medical related now than true firefighting?
Yes.
Is that the way the industry or the...
Yeah, that's pretty standard throughout. I think over in 2018, we had about 10,700 calls for service for our 3-station department. And of those 10,700 calls, about 74% of those were emergency medical calls in nature. That could be chest pain, seizures, respiratory problems, auto accidents, any kind of trauma. So a lot of our calls, and it fluctuates between 70 and 75% every year, are medical in nature. And there's some reasons for that. A lot of the reasons are we're not getting many fires anymore because of public education. People are more educated on fire safety. Buildings are a lot safer than they have been in the past. We do have a challenge here in the city of Sanford because we are a historic city that we do have a little bit more fires than other municipalities do, just because of the older, historic district we have in older communities. But that's usually the norm for the nation, is that about 70 to 75, maybe 80% of our calls are emergency medical in nature.
And is that why you see a fire truck along with a paramedic truck when, for instance, there's an accident or even somebody they're called to their home?
That's correct. Yeah, we are dispatched through Seminole County, the communications center, and there's a national standard that's out there that based on the information they receive from the dispatch center or the caller, that they respond. And we really don't respond the fire truck for certain. It's mostly for the staffing of the people. We need people to help out in all hands. So some on the more significant or more serious medical calls, we're going to need more people there for more hands on the patient. So that's the reason why the fire truck goes on calls with the rescue. The rescue usually has 2 people on there, a paramedic and an EMT, emergency medical technician. And usually it doesn't cut it with just those 2 people. We want to provide the best care to the patient, the citizens. So that's why we send a fire engine, which has 3 people on there to the call. And that's the reason for that.
Yes, and that's one of my next questions, is our big tower truck that folks may see driving around our city. Is it Tower 31?
Tower 31, yes.
And that truck is just really amazing, and I understand that it costs quite a bit,
Yes, it does.
And I think the citizens and the public may realize or need to realize how much goes into the cost of something like this kind of vehicle, and can you share a little bit more about that?
Yeah, that current truck we have there is a 2010. It was built in 2010, and we put it in service that same year, and it is Tower 31, and it runs out of our main fire station, which is located at the Public Safety Complex on historic Goldsboro Boulevard. And it is a multi-use, a special ops type of truck. It has a 100-foot ladder on it, and it has all kinds of specialty equipment, extrication equipment, cribbing, trench, all kinds of equipment. And it also runs down to our marina where our fireboat is staged in case of water rescue type of calls. So that the people on that truck, the personnel on that truck also respond to the marina and are water rescue certified. So the personnel that are on Tower 31 are really are hot shots. They're the ones that have all the certifications that can, in any situation, they could, when everyone calls us for any kind of all hazards response, they're going to go because they're specially trained in some of these special hazards.
Sure. And I understand, Chief, you are the main contact for the city's emergency management team. Is that right?
That's right. Yeah. My other hat that I wear for the city is I'm the emergency management coordinator as well as the fire chief. Yes. And
we have our emergency operations center at the Public Safety Complex, and could you speak to the notion that the police department, or the fact that the police department and the fire department share that building? Yeah. We opened that complex in 2010, and it's a shared facility between the police department and the fire department. And in our fire department side, upstairs, we have an emergency operations center that is basically the coordination point for any kind of emergencies that the city may have in the past and in the future. For example,
in the past, we opened it up for hurricanes. We opened it up for the Trayvon Martin incident and subsequent Zimmerman trial. And we had all levels of government in that emergency operations center. At one point, we had the federal government, we had the state government, we had the local government, all in that area. So that's just an area where myself and my command staff run all the logistics, planning, operations, and all the coordination for the city to run in case of an emergency of those that I've just mentioned.
Sure.
Yeah.
Thank you. And I understand there's a rating that your fire department goes by. It's called the ISO rating. What does that stand for, and what does that rating mean? Yeah,
that's the Insurance Services Organization, and that's a common rating system that some insurance companies use to rate the level of protection that their fire department can provide to the community. So when they come out, and they come out about every 5 and 6 years and rate a fire department on, there's basically 3 components of the rating system, and they call it a public protection classification system. The first one is they rate the fire department on training, personnel, staffing, response vehicles, response times, and there's a lot of that. And that's about 50% of our rating. The next component is water, because it takes water to put out fire, and that's about 40% of our rating. And the last component, which is 10%, is our communication center. And as I mentioned previously, that's run by the Seminole County government, and they do a wonderful job there. And actually, they got a perfect score on our ISO rating last time. So the way it all works out is they classify departments on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being the worst and 1 being the best. And most recently, we were evaluated about 3 or 4 months ago, and we improved our classification to a 2, which I'm very proud of our department for doing that, because there's not many fire departments in the nation that are at classification level 2. In fact, out of the 46,000 fire departments in the nation, only about 1,300 or 3% of them are at a classification 2. So we approved to a 2, which is wonderful news.
That's great.
Yeah.
Well, Chief, this is really awesome for our listeners on our new Sanford Says podcast. Is there anything else that you'd like to add to this?
I did want to mention that, speaking of that ISO, I did want the listeners out there to contact their insurance companies and let them know that we are at a classification level 2, and we could provide a summary report if they need to, and it might reduce their insurance rates, and everyone's looking for a better rate on insurance or anything, so that might be in your best interest to contact them. I can be reached at craig.radzak@sanfordfl.gov if anyone has any questions, or my office number is 407-688-5044. If anyone has any questions for me, they can feel free to call me.
Well, thank you, Chief, and this won't be the last time you're on our podcast.
Yeah.
We appreciate that you're here, and there you have it. Fire Chief Craig Radzak on Sanford Says. We appreciate you so much. Our listeners do too. Again, thank you for listening to the Sanford Says podcast. Remember, you can connect with the City of Sanford on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and Instagram, and Nextdoor. This podcast will be available on the city website at sanfordfl.gov. That's sanfordfl.gov. And thank you, listeners. Until next time, this is Lisa Holder signing off.